Shadows of Judgment. Olivia Chen adjusted her thick-rimmed glasses nervously as she stood beside her photography display in the university's spring exhibition. The soft ambient lighting of the gallery highlighted the three black-and-white portraits she had spent months perfecting, intimate glimpses into the lives of elderly immigrants in their neighborhood. Her hands trembled slightly as she smoothed down her oversized cardigan, hoping to blend into the background as visitors filtered through. "You should be proud," Professor Lambert had told her earlier. "These photographs show exceptional emotional depth." But compliments always felt foreign to Olivia, like clothes that didn't quite fit. Years of being the outsider, the quiet girl with acne scars and awkward mannerisms, had taught her to make herself small, to exist in the periphery of others' attention. From across the room, she spotted Ethan Walker, the star of the university's film program. With his effortless charisma and perfect jawline, he commanded attention wherever he went. Tonight, he wore a fitted black sweater that accentuated his athletic build, surrounded by his usual entourage of admirers. Maya Rodriguez, Olivia's roommate and only real friend, nudged her gently. "Your work is the best here. You know that, right?" Olivia offered a half-smile. "You're biased." "I'm honest," Maya countered, her vibrant red lips curving into a grin. "Now stop hiding in this corner. People should meet the artist." Before Olivia could protest, Dean Williams announced it was time for the student awards. The crowd shifted toward the small stage at the front of the gallery. Olivia's stomach twisted into knots as the dean began listing categories. "And for outstanding visual narrative," the dean's voice echoed through the room, "the award goes to Olivia Chen." A smattering of applause broke the stunned silence that momentarily enveloped Olivia. With shaking legs, she made her way to the stage, accepting the small crystal trophy with a mumbled "thank you." As she turned to leave, she heard Ethan's voice, louder than necessary and slightly slurred from the champagne being served. "Seriously? That's what wins these days? Depressing photos by the weird girl who never speaks?" Laughter rippled through his circle of friends. Olivia froze, the trophy suddenly heavy in her hands. "Look at her face," Ethan continued, his words meant for his friends but carrying in the quiet gallery. "Even her camera lens must crack when she looks through it." More laughter, sharper this time. Olivia felt the familiar burn of humiliation crawl up her neck and spread across her cheeks. Her vision blurred with unshed tears as she hurried off the stage, nearly tripping on the last step. Maya was at her side instantly, her arm protective around Olivia's shoulders. "Ignore him. He's a jealous, drunken idiot." But the damage was done. The words had found their home in the darkest corners of Olivia's mind, reinforcing every insecurity she'd ever harbored. She placed the trophy on a nearby table, suddenly wanting nothing to do with it or this place. "I need some air," she whispered to Maya, already moving toward the exit. Outside, the spring night was cool against her flushed skin. Olivia leaned against the brick wall of the arts building, finally allowing tears to fall. She had worked so hard to be recognized for her art, not her appearance. Yet somehow she always ended up feeling reduced to the latter. In the distance, she could hear music from the campus amphitheater where a spring festival was taking place. People laughing, celebrating, living effortlessly in their bodies while she felt trapped in hers. "Liv?" Maya had followed her out, concern etched on her face. "Don't let him ruin this for you." Olivia wiped her tears with the sleeve of her cardigan. "I just want to go home." "Your photographs made people feel something," Maya said firmly. "That's why you won. That's what matters." As they walked back to their apartment, Olivia remained silent, the weight of Ethan's words heavier than the trophy she'd left behind. What Maya didn't understand was that for just a moment, when her name was announced, Olivia had believed she might finally be seen for who she was rather than how she looked. And in the next moment, Ethan Walker had reminded her of her place in the world. Shadows, not spotlight. The hidden rhythm. 3 weeks after the exhibition disaster, Maya burst into their apartment, waving a colorful flyer with the enthusiasm of someone who'd just discovered buried treasure. "This," she announced, slapping the paper onto Olivia's sketchbook, "is your redemption arc." Olivia looked up from her drawing, pushing a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "Dance for Change charity event," she read aloud, her voice flat. "How exactly is this my redemption anything?" Maya flopped onto the couch beside her. "Because you're going to enter, and you're going to blow everyone away with those moves you think nobody knows about." Olivia's face paled. "You've been spying on me?" "Spying? Please." Maya rolled her eyes. "Our apartment is the size of a shoebox. Those floorboards creak at 2 a.m. when you're practicing in your room." Heat crept up Olivia's neck. For years, dance had been her most private refuge, a secret world where she felt graceful and free, unburdened by self-consciousness. The thought of performing in front of others, especially after the exhibition humiliation, made her stomach clench. "Absolutely not," she said, pushing the flyer away. "Liv," Maya's voice softened, "you're incredible when you dance. It's like you become someone else entirely, someone who knows exactly who she is." "That's why I do it alone," Olivia replied. "Because it's for me, not for people to judge." Maya sat up straighter. "The event raises money for arts education in underserved communities. Isn't that something worth being brave for?" Olivia remained silent, tracing her finger along the edge of her sketchbook. "Plus," Maya added with a sly smile, "I heard Ethan Walker will be there, filming for his documentary class." "That's supposed to convince me?" Olivia scoffed. "Wouldn't it be satisfying to show him exactly who he underestimated?" The thought lingered as Olivia went through her day. She attended classes, worked her shift at the campus bookstore, and tried to focus on anything but Maya's suggestion. But that night, as she moved through her secret dance routine in the darkness of her bedroom, something shifted. Each movement felt charged with a new purpose. The following afternoon, Olivia found herself standing outside the Performing Arts building, clutching the sign-up form Maya had printed for her. Professor Reyes, who coordinated the event, greeted her with surprise. "Olivia Chen? I didn't expect to see you here." "I'd like to enter the dance portion," she said quietly, holding out the form before she could change her mind. Professor Reyes smiled warmly. "Contemporary solo?" Olivia nodded, her mouth suddenly dry. "Wonderful. The event is this Friday at 7 p.m. Rehearsal slots are available tomorrow." As Olivia turned to leave, she nearly collided with someone entering the office. Her breath caught when she realized it was Ethan, his camera bag slung over his shoulder. "Sorry," he mumbled, barely glancing at her before addressing Professor Reyes. "I'm here about filming the charity event." Olivia slipped past him, her heart racing. For a brief moment, their eyes had met, and she'd seen no recognition there, just the casual dismissal reserved for someone unworthy of notice. For the next 3 days, Olivia rehearsed obsessively. She chose Possibility by Lika Lee, a song about vulnerability and hope that resonated with everything she couldn't express in words. Each movement she choreographed told a story of emergence, of stepping out of shadows. The night before the event, doubt crashed over her like a wave. "I can't do this," she told Maya, pacing their small living room. "Everyone will laugh." Maya caught her by the shoulders. "Listen to me. When you dance, you're magnificent. You become everything you already are but are too afraid to show. That's what scares you. Not failing, but succeeding." Olivia stared at her friend, the words sinking in slowly. "Besides," Maya added with a grin, "I've already invited half the photography department to come support you." Olivia groaned. "Great. More witnesses to my humiliation." "More witnesses to your triumph," Maya corrected. "Now get some sleep. Tomorrow, you change the narrative." As Olivia lay in bed that night, She thought about narratives, how some people seemed destined to be main characters while others remained in the margins. She thought about Ethan Walker, who had never had to question his place in the story. Tomorrow, perhaps, she would write herself into a different kind of story altogether. One where she wasn't defined by cruel words or others' perceptions. One where, for 3 minutes and 20 seconds, she would be exactly who she was meant to be. Movement of truth. The backstage area of the university amphitheater buzzed with nervous energy. Dancers stretched, singers vocalized, and musicians tuned their instruments while volunteers rushed around with clipboards and headsets. Olivia stood in a quiet corner wearing a simple slate blue dress that flowed with her movements. 5 minutes until we start, a stage manager announced, causing Olivia's heart to quicken. Maya appeared at her side, makeup kit in hand. Final touches, she insisted, brushing a subtle shimmer across Olivia's eyelids. You're going to be amazing. Through a gap in the curtains, Olivia could see the amphitheater filling with people. Her gaze landed on Ethan in the front row, adjusting his camera on a tripod. He looked focused, professional, a stark contrast to his drunken cruelty at the exhibition. I'm 10th in the lineup, Olivia whispered, more to herself than to Maya. That's nearly an hour from now. Perfect, Maya replied. You can watch from the wings until then. Deep breaths, remember? The event began with a welcome from Professor Reyes, explaining how the proceeds would fund arts education for underprivileged children. Then, one by one, performers took the stage, each met with enthusiastic applause from the supportive crowd. As her turn approached, Olivia's anxiety peaked. Her palms grew slick with sweat, her mouth dry as paper. When the 9th performer exited to applause, a stagehand motioned for her to take position, and now, the MC announced, performing a contemporary dance to Possibility, hey, please welcome Olivia Chen. The spotlight felt like judgment as Olivia walked to center stage. She kept her eyes down, focusing on the feeling of the wooden floor beneath her bare feet. The audience was a blur of shadowed faces. She took her starting position, a small folded version of herself, head bowed. 3 seconds of silence stretched like eternity before the first haunting notes of the song began. Olivia's initial movements were hesitant, constrained, her body portraying the invisible boundaries she had lived within for years. But as the music built, her movements expanded. Each gesture became more fluid, more confident. Her arms stretched further, her leaps grew higher. The world beyond the stage disappeared. There was only the music, her body's response to it, and the story she was telling, of a woman shedding limitations imposed by others and by herself. Halfway through the performance, something extraordinary happened. Olivia's gaze, which had been focused inward or upward, finally met the audience. And there, in the front row, she saw Ethan watching her, his camera forgotten, his expression transfixed, their eyes locked for the briefest moment. In that instant, everything shifted. No longer was she dancing to prove him wrong. She was dancing because it was her truth, raw, beautiful, and undeniable. Her movements became even more powerful, infused with an authenticity that transcended technique. As the song reached its climax, Olivia executed a series of turns that brought her across the stage, her dress swirling around her like water. The final note hung in the air as she completed her closing pose, standing tall, arms open, face lifted toward the light. For one terrifying second, silence filled the amphitheater. Then, applause erupted, first scattered, then building to a thunderous ovation. People rose to their feet, their faces illuminated with genuine appreciation. Professor Reyes was nodding emphatically from the side of the stage. Maya was jumping up and down, fist pumping the air, but it was Ethan's reaction that caught Olivia by surprise. He remained seated, seemingly stunned, his hands suspended mid-clap. As she took her bow and hurried off stage, she glimpsed him reaching for his camera with new purpose. Backstage, Maya engulfed her in a fierce hug. "That was beyond words," she whispered. "You were transcendent." Other performers offered congratulations as Olivia caught her breath, her body still vibrating with adrenaline. The vulnerability of having exposed her hidden self left her feeling both drained and strangely empowered. After the final performance and the announcement of funds raised, performers mingled with audience members in the lobby. Olivia stood with Maya, accepting compliments with awkward grace, when she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to find Ethan Walker, camera in hand, his expression unreadable. "We need to talk," he said quietly. Part 4. Whispered Confessions. "I don't think we have anything to say to each other," Olivia replied. Turning away from Ethan's unexpected approach, Maya shot him a scathing look. "Haven't you said enough already?" Ethan's confident demeanor faltered. "Please, just 5 minutes. Outside, where it's quieter." Something in his voice, a rare note of genuine humility, made Olivia hesitate. She glanced at Maya, who raised her eyebrows in silent question. 5 minutes, Olivia agreed reluctantly. They walked to a small courtyard adjacent to the amphitheater, where string lights illuminated stone benches beneath a canopy of maple trees. The spring night was surprisingly warm, carrying the scent of nearby flowering bushes. Ethan set his camera down and ran a hand through his hair. "I owe you an apology," he began. "What I said at the exhibition was inexcusable." Olivia crossed her arms, protecting herself from memories of that night. "Is that all? Because I already knew that." "No, it's not all." He sat on a bench, leaving space for her. After a moment's hesitation, she joined him, maintaining careful distance. "I was drunk, jealous, and insecure that night." "Jealous?" The word caught her by surprise. "Of what?" Ethan looked down at his hands. "Your photographs were extraordinary. They had this authenticity that my work has been missing. The award should have gone to you." Olivia studied his profile, searching for signs of insincerity but finding none. "So you attacked me personally because you were envious of my work?" "I know how it sounds," he admitted. "But when you've built your entire identity around being the best at something, and then someone comes along who's better..." He shook his head. "It doesn't excuse what I did. I was cruel, and I've regretted it every day since." The courtyard fell silent except for distant laughter from the reception. Olivia processed his words, weighing them against the hurt she'd carried. "Your dance tonight," Ethan continued softly. "It was like watching someone's soul made visible. I couldn't look away." Despite herself, Olivia felt a flush of pleasure at his words. "It's easy to be invisible until you choose not to be," she said. "I've never been invisible," Ethan admitted. "But I've never been truly seen either." The unexpected vulnerability in his voice made Olivia turn toward him fully. "What do you mean?" He smiled ruefully. "Everyone sees Ethan Walker, golden boy of the film department. They see my confidence, my connections, my supposed talent. Nobody sees the guy who stays up all night rewriting scripts because nothing feels authentic enough. Nobody sees how terrified I am of failing." "I find that hard to believe," Olivia said, but her tone had softened. "My father is Jonathan Walker," he said quietly. The name of the renowned Hollywood director hung between them. "Ah," Olivia nodded slowly. "So you're living in a shadow too, just a different kind." "A very expensive, privileged shadow," Ethan acknowledged with a self-deprecating laugh. "I'm not asking for sympathy, just understanding, maybe." Their eyes met, and something shifted in the space between them, a recognition of shared human fragility beneath their different exteriors. "When I watch you dance," Ethan said, his voice dropping to nearly a whisper, "I see someone who knows exactly who they are. That's rare." "I only know who I am when I'm dancing," Olivia admitted. "The rest of the time, I'm still figuring it out." Ethan's hand moved cautiously across the bench until his fingers nearly touched hers. "I'd like to know that person, the real Olivia Chen, not just the one I thoughtlessly judged." The intimacy of the moment caught Olivia off guard. Her instinct was to retreat, to protect herself from potential hurt, but something about the genuine regret in his eyes made her stay. "I'm working on a new documentary," he said when she remained silent, "about artists finding their voice. After seeing your dance, I can't imagine making it without you. Is this your way of asking for forgiveness? Offering me a role in your film?" There was no accusation in her question, only curiosity. Ethan shook his head. "I'm not asking for anything. I don't deserve forgiveness yet. This is me recognizing something extraordinary and wanting to learn from it. As they sat together in the courtyard, the space between them charged with possibility, Olivia realized they were both seeing each other clearly for the first time, beyond judgments, beyond facades. The revelation was as terrifying as it was exhilarating. I should get back, she said, finally standing. Maya will be wondering where I am. Ethan rose too. Of course, but neither moved to leave. Instead, drawn by some invisible current, they stood facing each other in the gentle glow of the string lights. Your dance changed something in me, Ethan confessed, his voice barely audible. I don't know what happens next, but I know I'll never look at anyone the same way again. Before Olivia could respond, he leaned forward slowly, giving her every chance to step away. She didn't. His lips brushed against hers, a question more than a kiss. After a heartbeat of hesitation, she answered, pressing closer, allowing herself this unexpected moment of connection. When they pulled apart, both looked equally surprised by what had just transpired. That wasn't in my 5-minute plan, Ethan said with a small smile. Time's up anyway, Olivia replied, but she was smiling too. Choreography of Heart's Summer descended on the university campus, transforming hurried pathways into languid stretches of sun-dappled concrete. The weeks following the charity event unfolded like a dream sequence for Olivia, surreal, beautiful, and occasionally disorienting. Ethan's documentary project became their shared purpose. 3 mornings a week, they met at different locations around the city: abandoned warehouses, rooftop gardens, underground subway platforms. In each space, Olivia would dance while Ethan captured her movement, his camera an extension of his increasingly perceptive eye. Try to show me what fear looks like, he suggested one morning on a deserted beach, the dawn light painting everything in gold. Olivia's dance that day was all contracted muscles and aborted movements, a physical representation of all the times she had held herself back. Afterward, watching the footage on Ethan's laptop, she barely recognized herself. That's how I've lived most of my life, she admitted, as they sat side by side on a weathered lifeguard stand. Ethan's hand found hers, their fingers intertwining naturally now. Not anymore. Their relationship evolved in the spaces between filming. Conversations over coffee that stretched into dinner, walks that had no destination, nights spent talking until sunrise. Olivia discovered that beneath Ethan's practiced charm lay a thoughtful man with insecurities as real as her own, and ambitions that had nothing to do with his father's fame. I want to make films that change how people see themselves, he told her one evening as they lay on a blanket in the university quad, watching stars emerge. Not how they see the world, but themselves in it. Is that what you're doing with me? Olivia asked, turning to study his profile. He smiled, rolling onto his side to face her. Maybe you're doing it with me. In July, Maya teased Olivia relentlessly about her movie-worthy romance, but admitted the change in her friend was remarkable. You stand differently now, Maya observed as they prepared dinner in their apartment. Like you're not trying to disappear anymore. Olivia considered this as she chopped vegetables. I think I finally understand that being seen isn't the same as being judged. Not everything was smooth choreography. There were missteps, moments when old insecurities resurfaced or when Ethan's privileged perspective clashed with Olivia's more grounded worldview. During one heated discussion about artistic integrity versus commercial appeal, they didn't speak for 3 days, but they found their way back to each other. Each disagreement teaching them something new about communication and compromise. By August, as Ethan worked on final edits of the documentary, Olivia received unexpected news. Her photography portfolio had been selected for a prestigious internship at the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. The position would begin in October, just as Ethan was scheduled to start his graduate film studies in Los Angeles. The night she told him, they sat on the roof of his apartment building, legs dangling over the edge as the city lights sparkled below. That's incredible, Ethan said, genuine pride in his voice despite the shadow of impending separation. They'd be crazy not to want you. It's 3,000 miles away from L.A., Olivia said quietly. Ethan nodded, taking her hand. I know, so what happens to us? He turned to face her fully. What do you think should happen? 6 months ago, Olivia would have assumed the worst. That distance would be an easy excuse for him to end things, that their connection wasn't strong enough to survive separation. But the woman she had become through their relationship knew better. I think, she said slowly, that we've both spent too long hiding parts of ourselves. I don't want to hide how I feel about you, even if it makes navigating the distance harder. Ethan's smile was soft in the moonlight. And how do you feel about me? Like I'm constantly in free fall, she admitted. Terrified but exhilarated. Like I'm dancing even when I'm standing still. He leaned forward, pressing his forehead against hers. That sounds remarkably like love. It might be, she whispered, her heart racing with the admission. They stayed like that for a moment, suspended between what had been and what might be. I have something to show you, Ethan said finally, reaching for his laptop. The final cut of the documentary. You'll be the first to see it. The film, titled Movement of Truth, began with footage from the charity event. Olivia's transformation on stage captured in high-definition detail. But what followed surprised her. Interspersed with her dances were interviews with other artists, each speaking about moments of revelation and authenticity in their work. The narrative Ethan had crafted wasn't about Olivia specifically, but about the universal journey toward self-expression. The final sequence showed Olivia dancing in all the locations they had visited, cut together to create a single, flowing movement that transcended space and time. Over these images, Ethan's voice narrated, we begin in judgment of others, of ourselves, until something breaks through. A dance, a photograph, a moment of truth that reminds us we are all worthy of being seen. Not for who we pretend to be, but for who we truly are. As the screen faded to black, Olivia wiped away tears. It's beautiful, she whispered. It's us, Ethan replied simply. Our story, but also everyone's story. In the weeks that followed, they made plans for visits, set up regular video calls, and promised to support each other's growth, even from opposite coasts. The night before Olivia's departure for Washington, they returned to the courtyard where they had first kissed. I have something for you, Ethan said, handing her a small package wrapped in brown paper. Inside was a hand-bound book of photographs, images he had taken of her between dance sessions, moments when she wasn't performing but simply being. The inscription on the first page read, To Olivia, who taught me to see beyond surfaces. Love always begins with truly looking. Under the same string lights where their journey together had begun, they danced one last time. Not a choreographed piece, but a simple, swaying embrace. Two people who had learned to see each other clearly, preparing to move in different directions while remaining connected by understanding and love. This isn't an ending, Olivia murmured against his shoulder. Ethan's arms tightened around her. Just a different kind of dance. As they held each other beneath the night sky, Olivia thought about the girl she had been at the exhibition months ago, hiding in shadows, afraid of judgment. That girl could never have imagined standing here now, her heart full and open, ready to step into a future bright with possibility. The most beautiful choreography she had learned wasn't created on stage, but in life itself, in the courage to be vulnerable, in the willingness to see and be seen, and in the faith that even separated by distance, two hearts could continue their dance,